Hello and welcome to my YouTube. This YouTube is things your mother and your teachers never told you. Hi, I'm your host, Maury. I like to think of myself as pretty well educated. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in education. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in physics. I have a master's degree in biomechanics. I have a PhD in public service. I taught math in the nuclear power school in the Navy. I was a high school teacher. I was a college professor. I worked for Apple for 30 years. But I didn't know any of the things I'm about to share with you. Some of these things are amusing. Some of these things are fascinating. Some of these things are amazing. So let's have some fun learning about this amazing world we live in. Let's go. How much does a blue whale weigh? What do you think? 50,000 pounds? 100,000 pounds? Nope. He weighs 300,000 pounds, and its heart is the size of a compact car. 300,000 pounds, that's 100 cars. That's how big this blue whale is. Biggest animal on earth. Did you know that honey never spoils? Archaeologists have discovered pots of honey in ancient Egyptian tombs that are 3,000 years old, and the honey is still perfectly edible. Amazing. How tall was the tallest man who ever lived? What do you think? Here's his picture. Richard Wadlow, from 1918 to 19, he was 8 feet 11 inches tall, but he died at the age of 21. How much did the heaviest man who ever lived weigh? What do you think this is? Here's a picture of him. John Minnock in 1978, and he weighed 1,400 pounds. He died at the age of 40. How fast is the fastest car on earth? What do you think? 300 miles an hour? 400, 500 miles an hour? Nope. Here it is, 763 miles per hour. Well, it has 2 jet engines, so there you go. A chicken once lived for 18 months without a head back in the 1940s. Mike the chicken survived as his jugular vein and most of his brain stems were left mostly intact, ensuring just enough brain function remained for survival. And here's his head laying on the ground. What's the smallest mammal on earth? And I'll give you a hint. It can fly. And here he is. The bumblebee bat is the world's smallest mammal. It has a body length of 1.3 inches and a wingspan of 5 inches. And he's sitting on a man's finger. How big was the largest tornado ever recorded? This is stunning. The world's largest tornado ever recorded swept through El Reno in Oklahoma on May 1st, 2013. It was 2.6 miles wide and had wind speeds up to 300 miles an hour. Did you know that owls don't have eyeballs? They have eye tubes, which they can't move back and forth. That's why they can turn their heads 270 degrees. So to look left and right, they just have to turn their whole head. No eyes. They're tubes. What animal kills more people than sharks? So you want to watch out. These are dangerous animals, my friend. Cows? Cows kill more people than sharks? Using statistics from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, one research study reported an average of 22 deaths a year by cows, typically due to stomping or goring, and only 4 deaths by sharks. So, you want to watch out for those cows. In Azerbaijan, there's a natural gas fire that has been burning continuously for over 4,000 years. Known as the Yanar Dag, this mysterious flame emerges from the ground and has fascinated visitors for centuries. At the speed of 100,000 miles an hour, it would take 41,556 years to reach the nearest star, which is called Proxima Centauri. So space is really, really big. That's the nearest star. The USS Triton was the first submarine to circumnavigate the Earth totally submerged back in 1960. They produce their own oxygen, obviously, because they're underwater. They don't have any snorkels. The advantage of nuclear power. During World War II, the Japanese battleship Yamato could fire its 3,200-pound shells 24 miles. Now, 3,200 pounds, I mean, what is that? What is it? It's this. Here's a Honda Accord. It weighs 3,200 pounds. So imagine being able to stuff this in the barrel of a gun and shooting it 24 miles away. Unbelievable. So how deep is the deepest part of the ocean? What do you think? 10,000 feet, 15,000, 20,000 feet? I mean, that would be 4 miles. Nope. The Mariana Trench is 36,037 feet. That is 6.83 miles deep. That's how deep the deepest ocean is. 6 miles. Almost 7. How many iPhones are currently in use around the world? And I ask this because I'm Maury Reese, a retired senior executive with Apple Computer. There are currently 1.382 billion iPhones in use around the world right now. The current most powerful supercomputer in the world is called El Capitan, and it's at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratories. It achieved a performance of 1.742 quintillion. That's 18 zeros, so I didn't write out 18 zeros, quintillion. 1.7 quintillion calculations per second. And it has 9,200,000,000,000,000,000 bytes of RAM. That sure ain't your average home desktop computer. No siree. Where is the most gold stored in America? Yeah, most people think, well, that's silly. Fort Knox, right? Nope. Fort Knox currently holds approximately 4,538 tons of gold. This represents about half of the Treasury's total gold reserves. But a common misconception is that Fort Knox is the largest gold deposit in the world. But this title is actually held by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The building is estimated to hold an impressive 6,350 tons of gold in downtown New York. What was the best stock to have owned for the past 30 years? If you wanted to buy some stock 30 years ago and make the most money, what should you have bought? Apple. Over those 30 years, Apple generated $2.67 trillion of wealth for the people that bought it. An average return every year of 23%. So if you invested $100 every year, you got on average $23 of profit. No less an eminence than Warren Buffett has called Apple Berkshire Hathaway's third business because Apple accounted for almost 40% of the value of the Berkshire Hathaway's holdings. So 40% of the money Warren Buffett invested was in Apple. And I'm proud to say I worked for Apple for 30 years. What's the longest name in the world, at least as far as we know? Here it is, and my friends, I am not about to try to pronounce that thing, but let me tell you what it is and where it is. This is a village in Wales, and when you translate it into English, it means, quote, St. Mary's Church in the hollow of the White Hazel near a rapid whirlpool, and the Church of St. Tislo near the Red Cave. Don't you know? That's what the place looks like. And here's the sign at the edge of town telling you where you're at. How hot is the surface of the sun? And for comparison, a really hot oven is 500 degrees Fahrenheit. The sun is 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. How many Earths would fit inside the sun? You know, we're pretty big, but the sun is really big. What do you think? 500? 1,000? 2,000? 5,000? Nope. 1.3 million Earths would fit into the sun. Staggering. What is the national animal of Scotland? I found this one really amusing. The unicorn. It's not even a real animal. I can't explain that one. Crazy Scots. The oldest living land animal on Earth is a 192-year-old tortoise named I don't know how to pronounce that. Jonathan. 192 years. Think about that. How much weight can a gorilla lift? This guy looks pretty strong, right? What do you think? 500 pounds? 800 pounds? Nope. He can lift 1,763 pounds. How's that compared to an Olympic weightlifter? The world records in the Olympics is 580 pounds. So they are really, really strong. How much does a cloud weigh? And I'm talking about a big cloud, a cumulonimbus. This thing might be a square mile, a cubic mile in size sometimes. It's heavier than you think. 1 million pounds. 1 million pounds of moisture floating around up there in the sky. Did you know that the Earth's rotation is changing speed? That the Earth is actually slowing down? This means that the length of a day increases about 1.8 seconds per century. 600 million years ago, a day only lasted 21 hours because it was spinning so much faster. Did you know your brain is actually eating itself? The process called phagocytosis, where brain cells consume smaller cells to remove them from the system. Don't worry, it isn't harmful, but it actually helps preserve your gray matter. Did you know that small animals experience time differently than you and I? So time is not the same to them. To smaller animals, the world around them moves more slowly compared to human. So the world is slower for these little guys. A minute's not a minute. Did you know there's a word for the fear of long words? I didn't know that was even a thing, but here it is. Yep. And I ain't gonna try to pronounce that thing. Where in the world did this come from? This 36-letter word was first used by the Roman poet Horace in the 1st century BC to criticize those writers with an unusual fondness for long words. So this guy invented this word. Right. Did you know that wearing a tie can be dangerous to your brain? A study in 2018 found that wearing a necktie can reduce the blood flow to your brain by up to 7.5%, which can make you feel dizzy, nauseous, and cause headaches. How old was the oldest dog? You know, an old dog can live to be 10 to 15 years. While the median age of a dog reaches about 10 to 15 years, one Australian cattle dog, Bluey, survived to the ripe old age of 29 and a half years. Bless his heart. Twice the age of an old dog. What's the tallest mountain on earth? I know what you're thinking, but you're wrong. This is what it looks like. Mount Everest isn't the tallest mountain on earth. Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa in Hawaii, the twin volcanoes, are taller than Mount Everest due to 13,700 feet of their height being submerged underwater. The twin volcanoes measure a staggering 33,464 feet compared to Mount Everest's paltry 28,371. So they're there, we just can't see them. Did you know that flamingos aren't born pink? They're actually white or a gray-white. They turn pink because they eat a diet of pink brine shrimp, and it turns them pink. So careful what you eat. Did you know that most of our maps are all wrong? When we try to take a globe, a round sphere, and spread it out onto a flat surface, we introduce errors. On most maps, the Mercator projection system, which was first developed in 1569, we're still using that system. This method is widely inaccurate, and it makes Alaska appear as large as Brazil and Greenland 4.4 times larger than it actually is. You know, here's the map. So what I did is I copied America, and it's sitting right here, and then I copied Greenland and I put them side by side. So it looks like Greenland is at least twice, if not 3 times bigger than the United States. But here's the reality. Greenland is only 836,000 square miles. America is 3,700,000 square miles. But on this world map, Greenland looks bigger than America. Now, stand by for this. Do you know what chainsaws were first used for? You're not going to believe this. Childbirth. What? Chainsaws were first invented for childbirth. It was developed in Scotland in the late 18th century to help aid and speed up the process of, I can't even pronounce that word, it's a widening of the pubic cartilage and removal of disease-laden bone during childbirth. It wasn't until the start of the 20th century that we actually started using chainsaws for wood chopping. So it was a medical device used to widen the channel for a baby to be born. Here's what the thing looked like. Oh my God. So here's the chainsaw. I don't even want to think about how this was used on a woman. Moving right along. Did you know a horse is stronger than 1 horsepower? A horsepower is designed in physics as 745 watts of power. But a study in 1993 showed that the maximum power of a horse can produce is 18,000 watts, which is around 24 horsepower. So we have been underestimating the poor horse for many, many years. He's really 24 horsepower. What popular fruit that we all love to eat is really radioactive? Oh my Lord. That thing, a banana. What? You're kidding. Nope. Due to being rich in potassium, every banana is actually slightly radioactive thanks to containing the natural radioactive isotope potassium-40. Oh my Lord. I'm going to die of radiation sickness if I eat bananas? Nope. Don't worry. Your body already contains around 16 milligrams of potassium-40, meaning you're already around 280 times more radioactive than a banana. Didn't know you were radioactive, did you? I didn't. And by the way, dental x-ray gives you a little less radiation than a banana. They teach the dentists that in dental schools. What's the happiest country on earth, according to research? These guys, the Finns, Finland. According to the World Happiness Report, that's a real thing, it has been for 6 years in a row. It's not really surprising given that Finland is the home of Santa Claus, reindeers, and they have 1 sauna for every 1.59 person. That's a lot of saunas. Yep. 6 years in a row, they've been the happiest country in the world. So if you want to be happy, move to Finland. Does the moon look the same everywhere on Earth? I mean, that sounds like a silly question when I first saw it. I was, well, of course it is. I mean, it's the moon, right? Right? It looks like this everywhere, doesn't it? Nope. The moon looks upside down in the southern hemisphere compared to the northern hemisphere anyway. This means that the man in the moon is upside down in the southern hemisphere and looks more like a rabbit. So here's the northern hemisphere, and in the southern hemisphere, these dark spots are reversed. So here's the head of the rabbit, and here's these 2 ears. Okay? I didn't know that. When do your fingernails grow faster? Your nails grow faster in the hot summer due to increased blood supply to the fingertips. Guess what the planet 55 Canarii I didn't make that up. That's the name of the planet. Guess what this planet is made out of? It's made out of diamonds. So you want to go there? Good luck. It's 40 light years away. What this means is traveling at the speed of light, which is 186,000 miles per second, it will take you 40 years to get to that planet. I don't think so. I have a sweet little Yorkie puppy, Lulu. And when I talk to her, she often turns her head, flips her head back and forth. Why does my Yorkie puppy, Lulu, tilt her head when I speak to her? And lots of dogs do this. All you dog owners probably know this. We see it all the time. And the answer? Lulu is tilting her head when I speak to pinpoint where noises are coming from more quickly. This is done to listen out more accurately for familiar words, such as go walk. I mean, at the minute, I can't say the word walk. In fact, it's getting to where I can't even spell the word walk, and she starts getting excited. She loves to go walking. And this helps her to better understand the tone of my voice. So her little head flips back and forth as she stares at me. There's a photo left on the moon. What is it? It's this one. When Apollo 16 astronaut Charles Duke landed on the moon in 1972, he decided to leave behind a photo of him, his two sons, and his wife. And there it sits in the dust on the moon. You see stars as they were 4,000 years ago. So when you look up in the sky and see a star, all the stars we can see with the naked eye lie about 4,000 light years away from us. That means you're seeing stars as they were 4,000 years ago, around the time when the pyramids were being built in Egypt. So 4,000 years ago, the Egyptians were building the pyramids. That's when the light left the star, and it's just getting here now, 4,000 years later. How many calories does your brain burn each day? We don't think about that. We do our exercises and our calisthenics and our bike rides and we jog. Well, 500 calories, or about 20% of all the calories you burn every day, is burned by your brain doing all of that thinking. Did you know there are trees that talk to each other? The acacia trees in Africa communicate with each other. They emit gases to alert other trees to produce the toxin tannin, which protects them from hungry animals. So if some animal or insect starts chewing on a tree, it sends out this gas so that the other trees will release this poison to prevent them from being eaten. So it's sort of like, hey, buddy, I'm being eaten. Send out the toxin. What was the word for cat in ancient Egypt? In ancient Egypt, 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, cats were sacred. In fact, they mummified them and they buried them when royal people were buried. Often there were cats that were mummified and buried with them. But they didn't have the word cat. What was the Egyptian word for cat? You're going to love this. Meow. What is currently the most expensive painting in the world? Get your checkbook out if you want to buy this thing. And here's the answer. Salvator Mundi by Leonardo da Vinci is the most expensive painting in the world, valued at $450 million. What's the tallest statue on Earth? You know, here in America, our tallest statue would be the Statue of Liberty. What do you think? Is that the tallest statue in the earth? Not quite. The Statue of Unity, and I can't pronounce that city in India, is the tallest in the world, standing at a whopping 579 feet. That's 182 meters. By the way, the Statue of Liberty is only 93 meters. Let me show you a chart of just how unbelievably big this thing is. Here you go. Here it is, 182 meters. Here's the Statue of Liberty, 93 meters. And here's the famous Christ the Redeemer in Brazil on top of that mountain, 38 meters. Wow, that is one big statue. When you do a Google search, 1,020 computers are put into action to find the answer in 0.2 of a second. So there's a lot of computing power going on behind the screen. A Google search takes 0.3 watts of electrical power, but a ChatGPT artificial intelligence search takes 2.9 watts of power. And this is going to be a serious problem in the future as we move more and more into AI. Using and running AI is going to take a huge amount of electrical power. And it's already causing a problem because some of these server farms are built out in the middle of nowhere, and little bitty towns are having to pay the price for all of the electrical power that it's going to take to run them. To convert Google search to artificial intelligence searches would cost Google $100 billion. So artificial intelligence ain't cheap, my friends. But that may be the future. Very controversial. It'll take a lot of money to build all of the computer farms that they will need to run AI. So how many people use the internet? What do you think? 500 million? A billion? Nope. 5 billion people use the internet. And you and I are 2 of them. So thanks for watching. I hope you had some fun. And I'm pretty sure you learned some things you didn't know. Be well.